everyone, Michelle here from the Creative Cove. Thanks for joining me today. So today is another scrap busting video. As you can see, I still have a lot of scraps left and I'm trying to get through them. I don't need to use all of them up, but I would like to reduce them so I don't feel guilty if I add more. So today I thought we'd do masterboards because masterboards are a great way to use up lots of scraps. And what's great about masterboards is that they can be used for so many different things. So this one I just glued really quick before I turn the camera on, just to give you an idea of what exactly a masterboard is. I've heard it called a bunch of different things. I just use the word masterboard because I kind of like that term. I use them for lots of different things. I will fold them in half and use them for covers. I will cut them up and use them for tags. I will use them in a background and then place a focal point of a piece of art and use them as a journal insert. All kinds of things. And what's great, like I said, is they use up tons of scraps. I have a lot of people ask me, you know, what's the easiest way to create a masterboard, because they find that their masterboards, you know, quote unquote, don't look good like other people's. And I think it really is just a question of, one, what kind of scraps you have, you know, what you're working with, and two, a little bit of a balance. So when you're gluing papers down, it's nice to repeat those papers in different places, and I'll show you what I mean. So my first tip for masterboards is to organize your scraps. Not everybody does. I only recently started doing this. Otherwise, they were in a big envelope, and they kind of drove me nuts that way. So then I found these little containers, and I thought these are good enough size that once these are full, it tells me it's time to use them up. So it keeps my scraps under semi-control, forces me to make room for new scraps when I have these bins full. So the way I sort mine, because I work with a lot of neutrals, is I will sort my neutrals in plain, like blank ones. So all my neutral colors with no texture or writing on them. No. And then this one is all my neutrals with writing and decorations and all that stuff in there. And they do tend to get mixed up. So you can see this one would go in this pile. So that I have that. And then I have one that has colors. So I have my scrap colors from when I did my big journals, and I used the 12 by 12 sheets. I still have quite a bit of these papers left. So I'll use these up. And then I have one more container, which doesn't get used very often, but this is primary like leftover sketches or experimental paintings that I've used. And I have some left over. So, and then some bits and bobs that I'm not sure where to put. So this one I don't go to too often. And the color one I don't use very often either. I've kind of gone off color journals for a while. I'm sure I'll go back to them after. But right now I'm focused more on the neutrals. So we're going to do some masterboards. So I had this scrap laying around. I don't have any more of that. So what we're going to do is just glue paper to paper. So there's really no wrong or right to masterboards. I would say that it is easier to glue it. Oh, here's a scrap here. We'll start with this. It is easier to glue it to a solid piece. But, you know, if you don't want to waste your paper, you don't want to use up a full sheet of paper for a masterboard, then I'll show you after how to glue them to each other. I'm kind of out of breath. We just got back from a long walk, the dog and I. And I'm like, I got to get a video filmed. And I got to get rid of these scraps. They're haunting me. I lie awake at night thinking, what can I make next? What can I use these scraps on? Because I seriously need to use them up before I will allow myself to open up more paper. So I'm just literally taking my glue stick and sticking them down. So what I like to do is repeat the papers throughout. So I go off the edges. I don't concern myself too much with giving myself a perfect straight edge at the beginning, because I can trim around the edge. So we can do something like that. I'm going to save that for later. So it's nice to have a range of scraps. You know, if all your scraps are the exact same paper, then a masterboard would be a little bit kind of dull, because it's the variations of papers that make a make the journal interesting. Oh, sorry, make the masterboard interesting. So again, just throwing paper down. Repeating it. So I had one sheet of that. I ripped it in half to make sure that I could introduce it elsewhere on the paper, on the masterboard. And I think that is one of the keys to balancing out your masterboard. So one thing also to bear in mind is that maybe this is not going to stay a full sheet. You know, maybe you are going to cut this up into labels. So it really doesn't matter if your full sheet is not in balance. It's getting hacked up anyways. I like to do it so that I'm content with the full sheet. That way I know that if I decide to turn it into a journal cover, I'm going to like the layout. And you can see I'm not concerned about the glue getting everywhere either, but that's also because I'm a pretty messy crafter and glue doesn't bother me. Another thing I like to do is break up big spaces. So you can see this green runs right up the side. So now I'll visually break that by putting a piece across. So I'm not necessarily just filling in these spaces now. I'm going over top of other pieces and creating those layers. And again, reusing the same textural element in another spot. So to create balance within the space. So this is a very empty space, even though the master paper is covered. I still want to throw some down, create those layers of interest, and creating those lines and then more lines within the page, I think is what makes a fun masterboard. It's nice to work. You can work on the diagonal. I have a hard time with diagonal unless I do the whole thing in diagonal. I don't know if I have OCD or something, but if suddenly a piece goes across like this, I don't know if I can handle it. Is that weird? Anybody else like that? Anybody else feel that is just going to drive you bonkers? And then sometimes I really kind of like that idea of it's going on an angle, but unpredictability. So you got to go with the flow. Go with your mood. Go with your gut. Just going to trim the edge here so I have a visual of what I'm working with. Sometimes when you go way off the edge like that, you can't tell what the perimeters are anymore. So you can see how many scraps I'm using up. It feels great. It's like sweet little victory. All right. And then here, just keep playing. I like those circles, that's fun. Got a little peekaboo circle. So you could go on an angle here. There's really no wrong or right. It's just the end result if you're happy with it. And like I said, it could get cut up into so many different things. But we might actually have an impact on some of these scraps. Maybe. It's hard to say. I just feel like there's so many. So then you see this line kind of goes up and it's almost perfect line straight down, and that I want to break. That instantly I see, and I want to change it. So maybe I'll introduce some more of this green. It's nice to use a variation of solids and textures. At least I think so. And then I would let this dry. Make sure as it dries, anything that isn't glued well will curl up. And give it another dose of glue. And of course you can run this through the sewing machine, which is also really fun. You can add washi tape to this, which maybe we'll do, since I have tons of washi tape to use up. So even that, all on its own like that, to me looks fine. I might put something along the bottom here, maybe this piece. Something like this. And of course you can ink all these before you use them. You can run the ink over after. But look how many scraps we used just to do that. Let's see if I got some washi tape. I want to use that. So here's some pretty washi tape. Just run it straight down maybe. I have quite a bit of washi tape from the washi tape shop that I need to use. It's beautiful washi tape. And I never think to use washi tape a lot of time. But for masterboards, we'll just throw it on just as an added decoration. See where it takes us. If I can get it to cooperate. There we go. I'm just going to throw this right here. Kind of fun because all the textures and papers underneath show up. Just wrap it under for now. There we go. So there's another board. So I'll show you really quick how you can do it with no big paper underneath. It's obviously relatively the same, but you're going to glue it to itself. And you kind of want to build up with the bigger sheets that you might have handy. Something strong, like this scrap watercolor paper. These ones where I don't have a piece underneath, I usually end up sewing just for an added reinforcement, especially if I want to fold it in half and use it for a book cover. But I just love how many scraps we're using right now. It's making me very happy. I'll make this guy a little bit bigger. So you get the idea, right? You're just kind of gluing it to itself. Use up some really fun colors here. Fun, pretty paper that I've left over. My husband doesn't understand why I have so many scraps. He's like, just throw them out. I'm like, oh, how dare you? How dare you say such a thing? You can't just throw them out. Ooh, that's pretty. Let's use that side. You can't just throw them away. I mean, look how pretty these papers are. I just can't do it. I'm just going to throw a little bit of green back here because that glue's wet. I just can't do it. So you can see you just keep gluing away and gluing away. Nothing scary, nothing to worry about. Just have fun with glue stick and some paper. Just gonna square this off a bit. So this one, it obviously is a lot more flimsy because it doesn't have the back. Make a piece up here. All right, let's do something like this maybe along the top. Your fingers get sticky, and that's good. Means you're having a good time. Maybe put this one right here, or right here. So this white here, I don't like it, so I'm going to use something else. Oh, did you lose your ball again? Did you? Well, you can wait a minute. She's almost 6 months old now. She's getting so big. And then we'll do maybe a quick journal cover. Just a super quick one so you can see how fun these are to use up. If I can get this dog settled. Hang on one second. Let me see. Okay. Am I recording? Can't even tell. All right. So there we go. There's another little one done. So let's maybe turn one of these into a journal cover. You see how many scraps we used and how fast it went? Love it. Love it. So because this one's already bent, I'm going to use this. And now that it's dried, we can see where we've missed on the glue. So we'll throw a little glue in there. Some of the papers are thicker and they take a little bit more manipulating. For this, actually, I'm going to just cut just because that's a thick piece of paper. So here would be our cover, or here. Which one do we like better, this one or that one? I kind of like this running down the side. So now we're just doing a simple journal cover, so you can glue something on the inside as well. Oh, dog. But I think what we'll do is, now that we've used up these scraps, I'm going to find a piece that I like, maybe something a little bit brighter. And maybe we'll just do a simple sketch on the front. What have I got in here? I feel like we actually made a little dent today. What's this one? There's scrap watercolor. Okay, let's pull these out. Okay. So I want to create a focal point for my journal cover. Something super easy. Something that's quick. So if you're doing this with kids, or you're doing them to sell them, you're not spending hours sorting things out. I mean, if you're selling them, I'd obviously make sure everything's glued down really well, and the sewing or whatever it is you're doing. So this is starting to lift right here. I'll throw a little glue in. So I fold my book in half to see what the cover is, and I will play with some flat scraps, some nice edge scraps, and see if I want, what kind of focal point I want to create. Because you know me, I'll probably end up doing a sketch in it. So maybe just a little bit smaller on this one, like this size. So I'm going to go down a little bit. Can you be quiet, please? I'm trying to work. So that I have a nice border of this cream color. And then you can leave this too and write something in here. That's not very straight. But I'm going to just border it. Oh, look, more scraps. Awesome. Brush corduroy, that sounds nice. Use that. I'm sorry if you hear pouncing. She's playing with her tennis ball. I'm just gonna rub the edge here. Probably rub the edge on this too. Do you have to play in here? Can you please go play somewhere else? Go on. Get. Beat it. Hit the road. Hit the road, Pooch. Oh, she's back. So something like this. You can put it over here. I'm going to center it. I'm in a centering kind of mood. And then I might tone down the white just a little bit if I can find my little doohickey. There it is. Just kind of dirty it up a bit. You can do that all over the book too. Make it all cohesive. Starting to get the sun in. It's late afternoon, so I don't know if that's worse for you guys or better. I don't know. I'll wrap it up really quick here. So I'm going to throw some glue down. Stick that on there. And what I like to create these focal points. I find it kind of really has an impact on a journal cover especially. This is where you can put in your masterpiece. So now I have whatever I want to put in here. I can put a name, I can put a sketch. We could go to our other scrap bin and maybe pull out a sketch we already have handy. Little birdie here. What else have we got? Mushrooms. Little flower tag. Or we can just sketch one. So maybe these won't work. Okay, so let's sketch. Because you know I can't resist sketching. I'm just going to grab my pen. Seriously, dog? And I'm just going to do something botanical in here. Because that's been my go-to lately. Of course, you can do this before you glue it down. It's a little intimidating to just go ahead and sketch. But you can always cover it if you're not happy. You can use a stamp. Just put a stamp on the cover and make it that simple. Or maybe you've used your scraps watching the other videos of mine or someone else's videos or whatever, and have some clusters you want to use. You can glue those to this and use more scraps. Oh boy, she's whining. How did 6 kilometers not wear you out, dog? This is why my videos have been very unscheduled, because it's hard to record without her disturbing the video. So I apologize for that. But that's life, you know? So there we go, just something that simple. And then I'm gonna sew it. I'll be right back. Okay, so there it is. I just put some stitches in it. And that's pretty much it. So now you can cover the inside. You could round the corners. You can do whatever you like. Ow! I'm going to see if I have a washi tape here that I can use. My bucket of washi tape. This is something I need to use up big time. I'm looking for some kind of banner tape that I can run down the side for some fun. Great blue color. Yeah, I don't want that. There's so many pretty washi tapes out there. I'm just going through here, sorry. See that? Here's some plain, kind of neutral, which is nice. Kind of goes with my choice of colors. I want to run this down the seam. Sorry, the sun's beaming in now, so I'll wrap it up here because I don't even know if it's so bright you can't see anymore. I have certain windows to film in before the sun starts coming in here. And then, of course, with the puppy, I'm kind of limited. And then, of course, with work. So I'm doing my best. Let me know if you like the series of using up scraps. I know there's probably nothing really new on this series that you haven't seen by other YouTubers or done yourself or whatever. This is just my take on it. You know, this is how I work with my scraps. And I had some people kind of ask me what it is I do with all my scraps. and give them some ideas. So that's why I'm doing this little series. There we go. I'm just adding a bit of glue because washi tape, even though this is really good washi tape, will come off in time. Kind of gets less and less sticky as time goes by. Okay, there we go. I like it. So using up masterboards, again, you can cut them into tags. You can do just about anything with masterboards, and they're a great, great way to use up scraps. So I hope that gave you some ideas. I hope to see you again in the next video. Take care, everyone. Bye.